Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking all things MicroStrategy, talking about the S&P 500 news and also looking at the share price over the last couple of days, whilst giving you my personal thoughts and opinions on everything and looking forwards into the next week or so. If it sounds like a good video guys, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot because we have a lot to discuss in today's update. Again, remember I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. But yeah, over the past month or so we've seen this stock ultimately falling from the highs to the lows, down by 18% and overall down by 12.4%. The past 6 months over here still relatively positive. From the lows to the highs we are up by 85 and overall still up by 10%. But with the 5-day chart being relatively flat and the past day being green, the question is, what do we see come next with MicroStrategy stock? Well, we've got a lot to speak about, as you will probably know, and we might as well jump in first by speaking about the S&P 500. So, Strategy, MSTR stock, snubbed by S&P 500 as a secret committee and blamed for exclusion. So Strategy was excluded from the S&P 500 inclusion despite meeting the criteria, with analysts blaming secret committee decision-making process. So yeah, what we're seeing here is essentially Strategy was excluded from the S&P 500 despite meeting all of the eligibility criteria. That caused the stock to drop by 2.9% after hours. Bloomberg analyst Eric I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, blamed a secret committee for the rejection decision. Robinhood was surprisingly added to the S&P 500 instead, boosting its stock by 7% after market close. MSTR stock fell below the 330 level, raising concerns that it could revisit 300 as a support. The exclusion represents a setback for the largest corporate Bitcoin holder and its institutional recognition. So yeah, you can see the information here. Strategy missed a shot at the S&P 500 inclusion on Friday, despite the fact they met all the criteria. The rejection sent the stock tumbling by 2.9% in after hours, which erased the Friday gains, pushing shares below the 330 mark. Very interesting to see, and again, that is a good point. You know, with everything being said, where do we go from here? Is it likely that we're going to drop even lower? Well, if I was to give you my personal opinions, right, despite the general trend in the 5 days being relatively good, despite the trend in the last day being very good, the question is all going to depend on what happens when markets open back up. This is going to be very, very crucial to look out for, because there is that very strong argument to be made. You know, where are our next levels of support from here? Well, we've got levels of support that we could look to at maybe 318. That's not impossible. We've seen those levels work as a support and a resistance, most recently as a support back here, right? So is there a possibility that we could see that? Of course there is. However, is that likely, right? If we see that hold up, I think it shows a genuine sign of relative strength here. If we don't see that hold up, I think there is that possibility that we drop even lower. If we do, where are we looking to go from there? Well, I think you're looking quite a bit lower, right? Again, you've got those levels at about 318, as I mentioned, but past that, you're looking way back to a while ago to find a relevant support. You could make an argument for 307, 36, something like that, maybe even 300 on the nose, as some analysts do think. So, what comes next in my opinion, or what would I be looking for? Honestly, it's really simple, right? And I think it's all going to depend on what happens on the first couple of days when markets open in the next week. If we see some stability here, not necessarily that concerning. Again, there is still that potential that we find a support above 320, that we find a support above 318. That would not be that bad, all things considered. But if we do begin to drop, and drop significantly into the beginning of next week, then we're looking at a period of time where we could see this stock drop a bit lower. So what's my opinions, right? Would I be rushing in for those shares with a 2 or 3% discount that we saw in the after hours, if we don't, of course, see any more massive fluctuation on the pre-market sessions? Honestly, I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't be chasing this one right now. I think there is a lot of potential here mid to long term, but I wouldn't be chasing these day-to-day price movements particularly. I think this, for me, if I was looking to get into this one, in my opinion, again, I'm not telling you what to do, just my opinion, I'd see this as more of a long-term play. In that event, right, does it make sense to necessarily chase these short-term highs for the potential of, even more uptrend, or do you have to weigh up the odds, right? If we begin to drop significantly, 318 is going to be the first level to watch out for. Then you're looking at 300, possibly lower than that. Now would be a very volatile time to get into this. Some people are into that. If that's, of course, what you like, then that's up to you. For me, though, personally, I think this moment in time is a bit too risky, and I personally wouldn't be interested, right? But yeah, there's every possibility that we see this one drop lower. Ultimately, levels at 318, as I mentioned, are the levels that we're looking for as our first support. But of course, time will tell. We'll see what happens. Thank you for your time, guys. Hope you enjoyed the short video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.